Hi guys, welcome back to my podcast. Welcome back to this little corner of the internet. I am super glad, super grateful, super happy to have you here. And I really hope that you're going to find what it is that you're looking for here. On this podcast, we go deep. It's authentic, it's raw, and I'm just sharing with you guys all the things that I've learned on my own journey that have helped me, and I hope in the hopes that this can help you too, because there's no point in me getting to where I want to go if I can't really share with other people how to get to their dreams too, you know? So I want to document this, I want to help you guys, and I love what I do, so I hope that you're going to find what it is that you're looking for here. Today we're going to be talking about how to exit the lazy girl era, your lazy girl era. This video is not only for girls. I just chose this title because it's a title that I've seen going around, kind of like this concept that I've seen going around that seems to be doing quite well, a little bit viral at the moment, but it's going to be my take on it. So it's not going to be about the virality. It's not going to be like the superficial kind of help that you can get. I'm going to go deep. I'm going to put my take on it, you know, my little spices. I'm going to season it my way. So hopefully you're going to appreciate it, you're going to like it. But I'm anticipating this video to be useful because, again, I don't want you guys to listen to this podcast, watch this video if it's not going to be useful to you. So I want to make sure that you guys get the most value out of this. And I think that the people that are going to get the most value out of this are the people right now that feel, men and women, not just women, that feel a little bit like, like lack of motivation, you know? You feel like you know where it is that you want to go. You have this dream, you have this thing that you want to do. It doesn't even have to be a dream. It might just be like, you know, you want to get more in shape or you just have a goal. But for some reason, the motivation is not here, right? You're just kind of struggling to get into the momentum of things. And so this is the video for you. Hopefully, I'm going to give you the motivation you need. I'm going to help you to transcend whatever is happening and make this feel a little bit more normal for you and give you a few little practical tools along the way to help you transcend that and exit this kind of lazier era of your life. But again, it's not really laziness. We'll talk about it later. But before we get into this whole video, I have a few little announcements. First of all, if you're watching this on YouTube, there's a microphone here. So I have a podcast now, so a lot of these videos are recorded as podcast episodes now. So if you want to just listen to this while you're on a walk, while you're walking your dog, while you're cooking, while you're doing literally whatever you want, you can now. You don't have to watch me move around my hands. You just don't have to do that. Second thing, for people that are watching on YouTube, I changed my hair today. My mom did braids for me, so I haven't had this hairstyle since 2019, guys. It's 2024. I've used to have this hairstyle like once a year before, but with COVID, with everything, didn't happen. And now I look like a little Caribbean princess. Anywho, let's not get into that. The next thing that I want to tell you is that I have a new channel, guys. I have a whole new channel, which is called Orlane, which is basically a cover channel, you know, where I'm trying to help you as much as I can, but through a completely different medium. I'm also a singer. I don't know if you knew that, but I'm also a singer. And so on there, I share my covers. I share just a different way of expressing myself, as well as having behind the scenes videos that explain to you what I was trying to convey in the singing and what those songs have helped me with in my life. Because a lot of the times music and art really helps us move through difficult periods in our life, or beautiful periods as well in our life, and helps us make sense of life. And so I want to help you guys make sense of life through the music that I'm going to share on that channel. So if you feel called to listen to my voice or other things that I share, please head there. It's a whole new channel. It's really fun. There's one song up right now and another one's going to come up, I think, next week. So it's going to be really fun. It's a whole new environment. Not really, it's still me and I'm still gonna like blah blah blah, but it's really fun and really exciting. So please go check it out if you feel called to. But with all of that said, let's get into this video and this podcast, this episode for today. So we're gonna, as I said, we're gonna talk about how to exit your lazy girl era. And this is kind of a episode that I've thought about this morning, actually, when I was walking in the Singapore Botanical Gardens. Very good place to get inspiration, by the way. And I was thinking about how I was gonna phrase this and organize this, you know, podcast. And I thought about the fact that I think the best way to do this is to first define what it is that I think that the lazy girl era is. What is this? You know, like a lot of the times with Instagram and with social media, we have things thrown around, words and terms and things thrown around at us all the time, but we don't really know what it means. A lot of the times, every single person that throws around that word has their own definition, but they don't take the time to just really describe what it means, because it's just viral and quick and let me get the likes, let me get the views, let me get the people looking at me. Everybody wants people to look at them these days. Anywho, so I'm going to talk about what it is that I think the lazy girl era is, and then I'm going to give you a few tips and tricks, little things that I think is going to be really good to help you transcend that if that's something you want to do. Because if it's not what you want to do, then I probably would suggest you guys exit this video, because this video is to help you get out of this era of your life. But if you actually are comfortable there and you don't want to get out of it and there's no convincing possible, then you can just click out of it. Go watch something else, because this is not going to be the one for you. But if you think that is the one for you, let's get into it. So what does the lazy girl era mean to me? So for me, actually, I don't even think that the lazy girl, lazy boy, whatever, lazy woman, man, just the lazy era of life, I don't think it's actually a choice. I don't think it's like people just wake up one day like, you know what I want to do today? I want to be lazy. I want to do nothing. Because I feel like then you're going to call it more like resting. It's more of an intentional decision to be like, today I want to recuperate. Today I want to focus on me. Today I want to read. Today, you know what I mean? Like, it's not... People don't often choose to just be like, you know what I'm going to do today? I want to be lazy. Because lazy has some sort of like negative connotation attached to it that for me, laziness means that you're choosing not to do something when you know that you probably should be, or that you actually want to be doing something else that will be more productive and actually make you feel happier in the long term. And so being lazy is choosing to not do the thing that you probably want to be doing and should be doing at that time, but you just choose not to do it, right? And so for me, I think that when you're in the kind of like lazy girl era, I'm just going to call it that at this point, is actually a period of time where you know where it is that you want to go. You have a clear idea, a clear vision of what it is that you want to bring into your life. If it's more health, if it's more happiness, if it's more connections, more relationships, whatever it is for you. I think for me, when you're in this kind of like era, is that you know where you want to go, but you're kind of self-sabotaging and you're choosing not to do the steps. So there's two different options. One, you know what it is that you would have to do to get there, but you're choosing not to do it because you're self-sabotaging and there's fears and things beneath the surface that you're not necessarily recognizing right now. And it then means that you're not able to then jump over those fears to then do the thing to get the result that you want. Or the other thing is that you know where you want to go, but you feel overwhelmed and you don't really know the steps to take to get to where it is that you want to go. So because you're so overwhelmed and your brain is just so overstimulated by like all the different options, all the different things you could do to get to the result that you want, you just choose to do nothing. You're like, well, because there's just so many options, I just rather choose to do nothing instead, because it just feels too stressful, too big, too massive right now. So I'm just going to do nothing, and hopefully one day I'm going to figure out what to do. But then the thing is that like attracts like. So if you're doing nothing over and over and over and over again, then you're not gonna, it's gonna take more effort to get into a momentum of doing something day after day after day after day. So that's why it becomes an era, because you start as like, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just not gonna do anything, or I know what I'm supposed to do, but I'm scared to actually take those steps. And you might be conscious or unconscious of this. A lot of people are not conscious of their fears, me included. And so then you do this over and over and over again, and you end up in being like in this like lazy era, or more of like a period of inaction, a period of being kind of frozen in time where you choose to do things that are not actually conducive and helping you get to your results. So for me, the laziness is not actually something you choose. It's a byproduct of something else. So being lazy is a byproduct of not knowing where it is that you want to go, or it's a byproduct of knowing where you want to go, knowing what to take, but you're scared to go there. You're scared to leap. Something is holding you something is holding you in a version of yourself that you're more comfortable in, because it's too scary to jump into a new version of yourself. So being lazy is a byproduct of that fear, or being lazy is a byproduct of just not knowing the steps to take. And so you feel overwhelmed by everything that you could be doing. And so you're just like, you know what? I'm going to freeze, run, what is it? Fight or flight. You're going to choose to like fight, flight, freeze. You're just going to choose to freeze, So this is for me the definition of the lazy girl era, which I think is a little bit unique. I don't know, because I haven't really watched any of the other videos of lazy girl era and all that jazz. So I really don't know what these people are saying. The other people that have done videos similar to this, supposedly, I don't really know. But I think that that's my definition. And so going off of the basis of that, I'm going to be explaining to you a few different tips, a few different things that I think will be useful to you to get out of this, because as I said, like attracts like. So if you're doing the same thing over and over and over again, which in this case, what you're doing is not very much, it's not conducive to your growth, then it's going to be difficult, and you're going to need kind of like a push of motivation, of momentum to get going and start doing something different, right? Because doing something different when you've been used to doing something else is a little bit difficult. It takes a little bit of, there's more friction there, right? Whereas if you're already in the momentum of doing so much, then continuing doing so much is not that hard. Actually stopping and taking a step back and resting is a bit harder because that's something you're not used to. So that's also something to think about. But what are the different things that you can do? I think the first and foremost, most important thing, which is something that I feel like I talk about in basically almost every single episode at this point on my podcast, is to notice. Notice that you're in this. Again, it's not necessarily bad, right? Life is not necessarily good, it's not necessarily bad all the time, but you have to notice the sort of patterns that you're in. You have to notice the certain eras that you're in, let's call them. And so if you're not noticing that you are actually right now not moving in the direction that you want to do, and you're not doing the actions that you would technically like to take to get to where you want to go, then if you don't notice that, you can't change it. You can't change what you don't know, okay? And so the first step would be to notice. And to do that, for example, I'm sure there's people listening to this that are going to be like, oh, I already know that I'm lazy. I already know that I'm not doing what it is that I'm supposed to do. I already know that I spend way too much time scrolling, or way too much time reading fiction, or way too much time doing everything else than what it is that I actually want to do that will get me to where I want to go. So there's those people that are like, you know what, Orlane, I already know that I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. But there might be people that are like, you know what, I'm not sure. Maybe I am doing what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I'm not. And so how do you notice if you are in this sort of era right now in your life? And so the way you can do this, because again, I'm not somebody that can really give you proper answers that pertain to your own life, because we are all super complex beings. We are all super, super different. And so here with this podcast, I want to give you the tools. I want to help you take ownership of your own life and give you the power back that you can use for your own life, because you have so much sovereignty. You have so much within yourself, so much knowledge within yourself that you might just not have access to because you don't have the right tools yet. And so what I'm trying to share with you is the tools and helping you open up the whole kind of box of knowledge that you have within you. And so the way that you can actually do this is by auditing your life and looking at your life and just observing. At this point, I don't want you to judge. I don't want you to be like, oh my God, I've done this. Just go about your normal day-to-day life for a few days and just notice. Just open up a notes app or something on your phone, or have your journal or whatever it is. By the way, I have a video all about journaling if that's something you want to get into more, but that's a topic for another day. So you can take out a notebook, take out your phone, just write down the things that you notice. Write down the things that you do throughout the day. So what are the activities that you do? If you're love to track things, you can actually track even how much time you spend on different activities every single day. And that will already give you a good idea and a good sense of what it is that you do on a day-to-day. And if you notice when you look back on your phone or on your notes app or your journal 5 days from now, and you're like, oh, I spend so much time doing this, but I keep on saying that I want to get to, again, we're going to take the example of marathon. I do that as example all the time, but say I want to run a marathon right now. And you notice that for the last week, you have not gone running once. You haven't gone to the gym. You've eaten actually quite poorly. You spent all of your time, you haven't even gone out to even walk or do anything physical at all. You kind of realize, okay, what is this? This is not going to get me to where I want to go, right? And so that's the first thing, noticing if you are actually in this era. Because I think a lot of the times, because you see so many things all the time on social media and things become viral, it's almost as if you have this kind of FOMO of being like, do I have this? Am I in my lazy girl era? Do I need to get out of it? And sometimes you're not. Sometimes you're perfectly normal, perfectly cruising along your life and doing things that are actually conducive, but you're almost convinced that you're not, and that you're actually, there's something abnormal about you and you should be getting out of a lazy girl era, lazy boy era, whatever it is. Sometimes you're just completely normal, nothing is wrong with you, but you're being convinced that something is wrong with you. So taking the time to actually audit your life and look at the actions and look at the way you spend your time will give you a good indication as if this is something that you want to fix and if this is an issue for you, because it might not be. So wait, my camera is about to die. Cool. So now let's say that you've decided and you've realized, okay, I am in this era and I want to get out of it. How do you do that? So I think the first thing that is important is that once you've noticed it, that's not enough to just notice it. You have to notice it and take ownership for it, right? Because you can't just be like, oh, I know this is an issue, but it's actually not an issue. It's actually not that bad. Like, it's really okay. No, you have to notice it and also take ownership and accept that this is something that you want to fix. Because again, we said, if you can't notice something, you can't change it. But it's actually more complex than that. If you don't notice it and you don't accept that it's there and you don't accept that you want to change it, then you can't change it, right? Because there's plenty of people that say that are smoking and they know that smoking is bad and they know that they're a smoker, but they don't accept that this is something that they want to change. This is not something that is currently their priority. So to be able to get out of this era, you have to notice that it's there. You have to take ownership for it, slash stop lying to yourself that this is not happening, and actually want to change it. Because again, if you don't want to do something, it's not going to happen. Imagine if already all the other blocks that you have within you, there's all of the unconscious fears, all of the kind of traumas, micro traumas, things that are like preventing you from leaping and like being as confident as you can be on your day-to-day life already underneath the surface that have oftentimes are like stuff from childhood. If you on top of it start lying to yourself that this is not really an issue, you're not going to get anywhere. So please, the first thing is to notice, then take ownership for it and stop lying to yourself this is not an issue. So once you've done these 3 things, now you can actually get to the third step, which is going within yourself. Meaning spending time with yourself alone. It doesn't have to be like meditating and closing your eyes and no, it doesn't have to be like that. You can just sit with yourself, go for a walk on your own without any music, or reflect on your life before you go to bed, when you wake up. It can literally be anything that feels good to you, but go within yourself and try to figure out reasons as to why this is happening. Try to figure out and understand what is actually happening here? Why is it that we're not taking the actions that we should be taking to get to where we want to go? Is it fear? Is it something that is scaring me? Is it something that it feels like if I do these actions, then now I'm actually trying, and what if I fail? And if I fail, then I don't want to be a failure, so I'm not even going to try. So at least there's no option for me to even fail if I don't even try, right? Or is it like a fear of being seen? If you start doing this and it actually becomes successful and people start to notice you and see you, are you scared of being seen? So is it a fear that is driving you? Is it more of a feeling that you don't really know what it is that you're doing, and you feel like, oh, I don't know the exact steps of what it is that needs to get done to get to where I want to go? So go within and try to figure out what is actually happening. And again, with this, I can't really tell you what is happening. I can give you, let's say, examples. For example, in my own life, when I was thinking of starting my other YouTube channel, the Orlane one, for a very long time, I would say that in this section of my life, I was in kind of a lazy girl era. I've tried to start this channel for 2 years, over 2 years probably. Like the first time the idea was really, really cemented in my life was in 2021, summer 2021, I think. And it's only come to life 1st of January 2024. And so for a very long time, I was kind of lazy with it. But I knew that it was there. I knew that it was something that I was not taking the proper actions to get to where I wanted to get. But at this time, I was just, I was not taking ownership for it. I was focusing on other things. There was other things going on in my life that were taking the priority on for that. And I knew that. And so I was like, you know what? I knew that this was an issue, but I reflected and I was like, you know what? Right now, this is not my priority, actually. So it's fine. I'm going to let it go. I'm going to focus on what is the priority right now. And I'll go back and I'll reevaluate this thing in a few months or in a few weeks to see if it has now become a new priority. So life is always something that you have to re-audit. You have to look through it over and over and over again and come back to different things, because things are cycles, and it's not because right now it might not be the good time to get out of this era for this particular thing in your life that it's going to be, again, the wrong time in a month. In a month, it actually might be the right time, but if you don't make the time to reflect, you're not going to really notice it necessarily in a month's time. You might notice it only in a year and actually, I've been ready to do this thing for the last 8 months or for the last 8 weeks, right? So for my own life, that was something that I was quite lazy with. I was not really taking any actions toward it. I think I was also very scared of being that vulnerable on the internet and sharing that. So that was a fear that I had to get over had to get over. So it was one, not a priority. 2, I had a fear surrounding it. So it can be a lot of different things. And that's why I'm saying that, like, you have to go within and genuinely make the time to try to figure out what is happening. And it might take a bit of time, but that's kind of the most important step, because if you don't notice what's happening and you can't bring to the conscious what is currently unconscious probably, then you can't really fix it. Because let's say it's a fear, because then the next step is like, now that you know what's happening, now that you've brought to the surface what was unconscious, it's now time to take action. But to take action, again, you have to know what's the issue underlying it. Because let's say that the problem is a fear. Now you have, the next step is to take action on that fear. Why is this fear there? How can you hopefully take steps to heal that fear? Is this fear even rational? Or is this something that you've learned from your childhood that you can actually now transcend? And there's plenty of ways to do this. You can do EFT tapping, you can do meditation, you can journal on it. And actually sometimes you realize that you're holding on to things that are actually not yours anymore. You're holding on to versions of yourself that are not you anymore, but you don't realize that you're holding on to them until you realize that, like, wow, I had this fear that I thought I believed that I had, and now that I actually reflect on it, I realize that I don't have this fear anymore. For example, for me, I've been very, very scared of animals for most of my life. I realized, like, a few months ago, that I actually am not that scared of them anymore. But I only realized this at one point when I was like, Orlane, are you even still scared of animals? Like, you find them cute, they're kind of like inoffensive, most of them. And then I kind of realized, actually, no, I'm not that scared anymore. But I was living with this programming that I was terrified of animals, that dogs had to be on leashes. When I went to somebody's house and they had a dog, I had to be like, can you please put them in a room? Because I was really, really, really scared, until I kind of realized, actually, I'm not even that scared anymore. This is like the 10-year-old version of me that I'm still holding within myself, but I didn't realize that I could actually let go of that fear, because now that I'm 21, I'm not scared of this anymore. And so sometimes if the thing that you have to work on is a fear, then sometimes that fear might not be even yours. It might be a previous version of you, and that you can actually let it go quite easily. Other times it takes more time, so you can meditate for that. You can do EFT tapping, and I'll leave links in the description of, like, my favorite EFT tapping guy that I watch on YouTube. He's really, really cool. I love him. So you can do that. Or you can, reflect on it and understand what the fear, like, understand really where it's coming from, that fear. But then let's say if it's not knowing, if the problem is you don't really know what it is that you're doing with this and you don't know the steps to take, then the thing that you should actually be doing right now is figuring out, going on YouTube. There's so many free resources everywhere online. So for literally anything. So if you don't know something, you can choose to know. You can choose to get to know. You can choose to educate yourself on that for free. There's plenty of YouTube videos out there. There's plenty of, like, websites and blogs that can help you with that. So maybe actually, instead of, like, leaping and getting to doing the thing that you want to do right now, the first step needs to be like that sort of big goal needs to be broken down in smaller goals. Maybe step one is to take a step back and figure out what it is that you actually need to do to get there. What are the steps that feel right to you? Because again, when you're going to look at all of these things on social media and Google and YouTube, you're going to find things that have worked for other people. But when you read something, if you feel excited about it and you feel like, oh, this is going to work for me, this is going to be a good thing, and I know that I'm going to be able to like that. And when things feels a little bit like, this feels a little bit too regimented, this feels a little bit like it's not a bit too constricting for me. So you're going to notice when things feel a bit right or a bit wrong. And then you can kind of like look at a few different resources and make a mix of all of them that fit you, that fit your needs. And then you have kind of a first draft, a first plan of the next few steps that you can take. Then you can take those steps, see if they feel good, if they don't feel good, and then go back to the drawing board, change them, tweak them. And at the end of the day, then you have like a plan and a thing that works for you, right? So again, the taking action bit really depends on what the issue was at the core of what came up from the journaling, what came up from why it is that you're not moving, why it is that you're not doing the things that you say you're going to be doing. But I think that that's really, really important. And I know that some people are going to listen to this and think that I'm giving very little information, because a lot of the times we love to be spoon-fed these days. Me included. We love to have people tell us the answer, tell us how to do this, But actually, a lot of the times we have our own answers. And sometimes you just have to have somebody that breaks down the steps. Okay, step 1, notice that you're in this. Notice that this is something that is happening to you. Then step 2, take ownership for it and accept that it's there, and look at it and accept that it's fully there, and that this is something that you are doing. It's not somebody else, it's you. Then go within, try to figure out what's happening and find an answer as to why are you preventing yourself? Why are you in your own way? Why are you preventing yourself from doing the things that will get you to where you want to go, right? And when you find those answers, now you can take actions, because now that you know what the issue is, now you can try to work towards fixing that issue, because the moment that issue is fixed, now you can have like a free road to fully like walk, run, leap, dance towards your dream. But right now it's almost as if you're in this kind of like lazy girl, lazy boy era, there's kind of like this wall that's up, right? And you have to figure out why this wall is there. Why is this wall up? And once you figure out why this wall is up, by going within, by figuring out what's happening inside, what's happening that this wall has been built, then you can slowly but surely work towards breaking that wall down. Brick by, sometimes it might take, a lot of effort, brick by brick by brick, but then once the wall is down, you have free like reign to just like run towards that dream. But right now you can't, because you're going to hit that wall every single time you start to move. Or if you don't like the analogy of the wall, it could be like chains around your feet that are preventing you from moving, and you're staying stuck in the same place, right? This is not something that is necessarily, again, the laziness is not something that is bad necessarily. It's not something that means that you're lazy. No. There's something beneath the surface that is preventing you from taking action, and the result of that is that you seem lazy. And you're choosing to do actions that are lazier, that make you look like you are lazy. But I don't really necessarily think that it's because you at your core are lazy. It's because there's things that are preventing you from moving, that are scaring you, that are keeping you small, that are keeping you in a very specific spot right now. But it's your job to figure out what's happening. It's your job to take the steps, to listen to the podcast, to read the self-development books, to look on Instagram, because there's a lot of, there's quite a lot of value on Instagram, to go on like social media and other things that can help you slowly but surely figure out what is happening, what is keeping you small, what is keeping you restrained, what is preventing you from flying and from running and leaping and dancing towards your dreams, right? Because again, that's another thing that I want to say that I think is really important. No one at all will be the one that will push you to your dreams. Nobody else can do that for you, okay? You can have the best parents in the world, the most supportive support system, the best teachers, go to the best school, have the best, friends. All of these things help. They help support you. They help give you like stamina and force and some sort of meaning. But if you're not the one that decides to move, that decides to break those chains, that decides to break those walls down, you will not get anywhere. And I know that it sounds harsh, and I know that some people are going to listen to this and are going to be like, you're so mean and la la la. No, it's the truth. And that's every single part of our lives. We have been in this situation. You're not unique. You're not that unique, I'm sorry to tell you. We all have been in the situation where we've been our worst enemy. We've all been in the situation where we were the only one in our own way. Okay? And so until you take notice that this is actually something that you are doing to yourself because of whatever has happened to you in your past, you're not going to move. And you're not going to get to where you want to go by blaming every single other person, but pointing fingers, oh, it's them, they've done this, they've done that. It's because my parents didn't do this, and because yes, all of these things might have happened to you, and they probably have been really horrible and have given you a lot of pain and have been really things that are causing you a lot of pain, a lot of trauma, a lot of fear, and making you feel small. But it's your choice and it's your decision to free yourself from these things. And if you don't do that, if you don't decide to free yourself from these things, nobody can do that choice for you. Genuinely, nobody at all can do that choice for you apart from you. You could have access to the best therapists in the world, the people that are at the top of their field, that can literally change your brain by whatever they're going to do. You could have access to the best doctors. You could have access to the best things. If you don't choose to be the driver of that, if you don't choose to accept the help, if you don't choose to look and actually be the one driving that change for yourself, it's not going to work. And so I really, 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 really want to urge you to go within and figure out, is this something that you genuinely want to change? Because if you don't, there's no purpose of lying to yourself that this is actually something you want to change. There's no purpose of lying to yourself like, no, I'm actually working on this and I'm reading this book, if genuinely deep down, you're not in it. Because if you're not in it, it's not going to work. I can tell you that for sure. The people that get to where they want to go, the people that manifest the things that they want to do, all of those people, they have one thing in common. They show up for themselves every single day. When somebody is in kind of this sort of like era of laziness, it shows me and it gives me the impression that it's somebody that every single day is choosing not to show up for themselves. Not necessarily choosing in a conscious way. As I said, they might be fears, they might be things unconsciously, traumas that are like that you don't know of, that are keeping you restrained, keeping this wall up, keeping you chained to the floor that you can't move. So there's all of these things that are possible, but you have to be the driver of this. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody else can exit that era for you. And if you don't want to do it, that's okay, but you can't lie to yourself that this is actually something you want to do when you know deep down that you actually don't really want to. Because sometimes you just don't have the space for it, right? Sometimes you're juggling so many other things. You have a job, you have a family, you have kids, you're struggling with debt. Sometimes you have so many things already on your plate that you're struggling already to juggle and to keep afloat, that adding something new to your plate is just not going to work. It's not, you don't have the space. So that's okay. That's completely okay. But you have to notice that. You can't lie to yourself and like, no, I'm okay. I'm going to add this new thing when you know deep down that there's no space for it. Because then if there's no space for it, the first step is, how do I make space? How do I look at my life right now and notice, okay, there's a few things that I want to change. There's a few little tweaks I want to do in my life so I can have a bit more space to welcome this thing, to welcome this new thing that I want to work on, right? You can't simultaneously be wanting to become a doctor, a chef, write a book, be a new mother, and buy your first house at the exact same time. You can do all of this along, like, over a lifetime, over a few years, you definitely can, but at the same time, sometimes you just can't do everything. We're just human. We all have only 24 hours in the day. And so sometimes you can't do everything as well. So please don't lie to yourself either when you try to convince yourself that this is something that you want to do. Again, for me, I stopped lying to myself at one point when I was trying to start this new YouTube channel, the Orlane one, the singing one. At one point I was like, you know what? This is not my priority right now. And it wasn't. And something else is my priority, but I allowed myself to accept that this thing that I want to do, this dream that I have, this thing that I want to do right now is not my main priority. It will become my main priority one day, but right now it isn't. So I'm going to put it on the back burner until it feels like it's ready to come in. And it was only in 2024, beginning of it, that this thing was like, okay, like the end of 2023, beginning of 2024, I was like, okay, this feels like it's ready to come in. I have space now to hold this thing and start this new project. But I didn't have the space for it before, and that was okay. So all in all, the sort of like kind of went into a whole motivational, like, was really like passionate right there. I didn't mean to scream. Okay, I really didn't mean to scream. But all of this to say that, one, you're not broken, okay? If you're right now in a period of your life where you feel like you're a little bit lazier, you're not broken. A lot of us feel like that. Second thing, you might not be lazy in every single aspect of your life, and that's also normal. You know, you can have aspects in your life where you're thriving. You're like, oh my God, I'm showing up every single day. All of this is going super cool and amazing. And other days in other areas of your life where you're like, I'm really, really lazy on this. I'm really slacking off, and I have things I want to get done in this area of my life, but for some reason I'm not showing up. So it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like laziness in every single aspect of your life. Sometimes it's just one aspect, and that's also okay. The third thing is that you need to take ownership for whatever's happening in your life. And I think that's the main thing. You need to really, really take ownership for what is happening into your life and to fix it. You're the only one that can fix things for your own life. You can have support. You can have people that are going to support you. They're going to help you. You can reach out to people that can give you tips and tools, and you can listen to things that can help you. But ultimately, if you don't show up for you, it doesn't matter how many people are in your corner, because if you're not in your own corner, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Level of that, it's just not going to work. So yeah, this is kind of like my version of how to exit your lazy girl era. Notice it, take ownership for it, figure out what's happening within that's preventing you and keeping you stuck and preventing you from going to what it is that you want to do, and then take action accordingly. But yeah, it sounds really easy like that. It's actually not that easy, but take it step by step, deconstruct the problem, really go within, take time to get to know yourself, take time to journal and, figure out what is happening within, because the more figuring out you do, the easier it's going to be to take action. And the way you can figure things out, listening to podcasts, reading self-development books, spending time with yourself, no music, no nothing, just sitting with yourself, going on a walk on your own and having your brain just be free and have, things come to you and answers come to you. All of these are acts of self-love that you can do to figure your stuff out. All of these things are going to be things that are going to help you, one, figure out what's happening within, but also sometimes they simultaneously help you to figure out what's within while giving you an answer as to what to do. So that's really, really sometimes a very, very beautiful thing. But let me know what you thought about this episode. It was a little bit different than the other ones. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, you can find me on Instagram at differently moi. You can please subscribe to this channel, share this video around for people that could benefit from it as well. Like this video. If you're listening to this as a podcast, please just like the podcast, download the episode, give me a review, rate this podcast. I would really, really, really appreciate it. Share this episode with a friend that you think could benefit from it. And without further ado, guys, I'm going to go a little bit exhausted by the amount of energy that I've put into this, but I really hope that it's going to be useful. I want to give you guys your power back. Okay, this is my goal. I want to help you heal and grow, but I want to also give you guys your power back. You have infinite knowledge, and you have infinite knowledge within you. So start using it and start tapping into it, and you're going to realize how powerful of a human being, like how much of a powerhouse you are, because I'm pretty sure you're pretty dang cool. So yeah, I'm gonna go, guys. I love y'all. Bye.